India is known for its diverse culture, heritage, and rich history that draw tourists from all around the world. The magnificent forts and palaces that dot the country are often held for their architectural elegance and rich socio-cultural heritage. They narrate the stories of love, war, victories, and failures that define the colorful history of India. Therefore, visiting these marvels would let one explore the mysteries and fascinating histories of the country. So, here is a list of some of the most stunning forts and palaces in India that you must visit. Ambar Fort, Jaipur. Situated around 11 km from Jaipur, Ambar Fort of Amar Fort is one of the most famous forts among the many in Rajasthan. Built in 1592 by Raja Ram Singh, this fort is made of red sandstone and marble and includes various buildings of preeminence like Diwan-e-Am, the Shesh Mahal, and the Sukh Mahal. This 16th century fort located in Amar, the former capital of the state before Jaipur, has influences both from Hindu and Muslim architecture. It has the Silva Devi temple and the Ganesh pole, which is a gate that leads to the private palaces of the kings. Beside the fort has many pavilions and halls of great interest and other popular attractions. Golconda Fort, Hyderabad. The iconic fort located in Hyderabad, Telangana, was built by Kakatiya kings and once was the capital of the ancient Golconda kingdom. The name Golconda derives from the Telugu words Golla Konda, meaning Shepherd's Hill. This unique fort had witnessed the rule of several dynasties like the Yadavas of Deogiri and the Kakatiyas dynasty of Warangal. The fort was known as a prominent diamond market in the 17th century and is world famous for producing one of the finest gems in the world, the Kohinoor diamond. It houses several beautiful structures like beautiful palaces, gateways, drawbridges, temples, mosques, royal apartments, halls, and stables. Also, it houses the famous Fateh Ravan gun, one of the cannons used in the last siege of Golconda by the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, to whom the fort ultimately fell in 1687. The fort's fascinating history, its colossal structure and well-maintained gardens make it truly a delight for tourists. Agra Fort, Uttar Pradesh. Located on the banks of river Yamuna, the Agra Fort is one of the first Mughal forts in India that was built under the commission of Emperor Akbar in 1565 and was later finished by his grandson Shah Jahan. The fort, which was built as a military structure, is surrounded by a 21.4 meter high fortification wall. The British seized it in 1803 and it later became the site of a battle during the Sepoy Mutiny in 1857. Built of red sandstone, this fort was also one of the first sites in India to get a UNESCO World Heritage Site listing in 1983. Later, following the exit of the British from the country, the fort was taken over by the Indian government and certain parts of it are reserved by the Indian Army. Besides, the fort also houses a maze of buildings including vast underground sections. Gwalior Fort, Madhya Pradesh. Believed to have existed since the 16th century in Madhya Pradesh, the hill fort has a very long and turbulent history, witnessing several rulers and violent attacks. The fort, which was captured by the Thomars in 1398, was built to its current grandeur during the reign of the Rajput Tomar dynasty. It houses several historic monuments, palaces, temples, and water tanks. Among it, the most acknowledged palaces are the Telika Mandir, built in the Dravidian style, and Man Singh Palace, built by King Man Singh. in the 15th century. Other notable structures in the majestic Gwalior forties are the Karan Palace, the Gujari Mahal, the Jahangir Mahal and the Shah Jahan Mahal. Chittorgarh Fort, Rajasthan. This iconic fort set atop a high hill is considered one of the largest forts in India, covering almost 700 acres of land, known as Chittorgarh or Chittor Fort. Was ruled by the Mewar king for almost 8 centuries before Mughal Emperor Akbar took over. The fort houses several magnificent monuments like old palaces, temples, towers, and a reservoir, some unfortunately ravaged over centuries. One among them is the famous Vijay Stambh Tower of Victory, which offers a stunning view of the city around. Leh Palace, Ladakh. The Leh Palace, also known as the Lachen Palkar, is a historical palace that looks over the town of Leh, Ladakh, amid the spectacular Himalayan mountain range. The massive 9-story stone structure was built by King Senge Namgyal during the 1500s and completed by the 17th century. The palace has huge walls and wooden balconies and is a typical example of medieval Tibetan architecture. The Palace Museum has a fascinating collection of ornaments, jewelries, crowns, and ceremonial dresses, along with Tibetan paintings or thangkas, which date back to 450 years. The structures surrounding the palace base include the Nagyal Stupa, the Moral Field Chandjik Gompa, and the Champa Lechang temple carrying medieval moral fragments. Lakshmi Vilas Palace, Gujarat. The residence of the royal family of Baroda. The Lakshmi Vilas Palace was built by the Maharaja Sayaji Rao Gaikwad III in 1830 with Major Charles Mant as the chief architecture. The palace houses several historical structures like the Moti Bagh Palace and the Maharaja Fateh Singh Museum building. It is also home to the Moti Bagh Cricket Ground, the offices of the Baroda Cricket Association, and rare indoor teak float tennis court and badminton court. Built in over 500 acres, it is said to be 4 times the size of Buckingham Palace. The elaborated interiors boast well-maintained mosaics, chandeliers and artworks, as well as a highly impressive collection of weaponry and art. Ujjainta Temple, Tripura. Situated in the heart of the Agartala city, the Ujjainta Palace was built by Tripur King Maharaja Radha Kishore Manikya of the Mangya dynasty between 1899 and 1901. Later it was purchased from the royal family by the Tripura government in 1972-1973. Named by the Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, the palace housed public halls, a throne room, a darbar hall, a library, a reception hall, and a Chinese room. Now a state museum, the 3-storied mansion has a fixed architecture and is surrounded by scenic Mughal garden. Mysore Palace, Karnataka. The Mysore Palace, also known as the Ambar Vilas Palace, is one of the most prominent tourist destinations in Karnataka. It was built in 1912 in the Indo-Saracenic style, a combination of Hindu and Saracenic feature, commissioned by Krishna Rajendra Vadiyar IV. The current palace is a replacement for the old wooden building destroyed by fire in the late 19th century. Presently converted into a museum, the palace was constructed by Henry Irving, a British architect. It is a 3-story stone structure in fine granite, grey in color, having deep pink marble stones atop and a 5-story tower measuring 145 feet. Padmanabhurma Palace, Tamil Nadu. Located in a small village in the Kanyakumari district of Tamil Nadu. The palace was once the seat of the powerful Venad king that ruled over the southern region of the present Kerala state. The palace, enclosed within a fort, covers an area of 6 acres and represents the indigenous architectural features of southern Kerala. The Padmanabhuram Palace is over 400 years old and is considered one of the largest wooden palaces in Asia. Wood is used extremely in its wall, roof frame, and also in structural elements such as pillar and beams. Beside the palace, interiors are decorated with antiques like Belgian mirrors, integrated carvings, and painting on its ceiling. The 17th and 18th century murals, rosewood and teakwood carvings, and huge eastern urns and colored mica on windows.